Hi, Rob here from the Way Out West Roots Music Club. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a chat with Rod Paine, who is the frontman, of course, of the Full-Time Lovers. The band will be at Way Out West Sunday, October the 1st. Don't forget, that's the start of daylight saving. The band will be showcasing their brand new album, Dirt on Velvet, which I think is one of the best names you could ever have for an album. Fantastic. So sit back and enjoy my interview with Rod Paine. We hope to see you at Way Out West, Sunday, October the 1st. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so I can bring you more videos. Bye for now. So Rod, can you tell us a bit about your early life? Was music a big part of growing up in your family?
Not so much on a family level, but my mother was a career primary school teacher for 50 plus years. And she would play a little bit of the Lowry organ, which is still at her place. And she played some piano, but out of myself and my brother and the rest of the family, I was the one who took an interest. And at 8 years old, she asked if I'd like guitar lessons. And it went from there.
Oh, cool. Because I've been reading up on you, and I read that you started off as a guitarist in a rock band.
I did,
and then gravitated to the harmonica. When did that happen?
That happened. That pretty much happened when I was. I had a knock on my door at the family home when I was 18, maybe 19, to join a blues band because someone had heard that I had a voice that was okay. It was nothing to do with harmonica then. I hadn't touched one. And that was Howlin' Time. So I was a founding member of Howlin' Time then, and that must be 89, 88, something like that. So, but just prior to that, I just started doing pub gigs with a rock band from mates from school. And I was playing guitar and singing. We were doing covers of, everything from Angels and AC/DC to Van Morrison and things like that. Hoodoo Gurus and which is still, I'm quite passionate about Australian rock. Yeah. So that's when that was that change into this Chicago style blues band, which was Howlin' Time. Yeah,
that's interesting. Howlin' Time just played at our club about 2 months ago.
Yeah, Mel's got it back on the road. Yeah.
I was reading in one of the Blues Portraits books, which are fantastic, that you're also a big fan of bands such as the Birthday Party and the Jam and Joe Jackson. So those things are a long way from the blues.
They are a long way from the blues. Look, because as I say, I fell into the blues without really knowing anything about it at 19. But in growing up, I was greatly influenced by my brother's music. He was in the bedroom next door, and he's 3 years older than me. And he was going to see the Birthday Party, and he did have Led Zeppelin records, and he did have Joe Jackson records, and he had a lot of the Jam, a lot of ska music, the British beat, and local things like Strange Tenants and the like. And I still love the Jam. I love that sort of stuff. So I have quite a broad, very much a rock, but that English stuff, that bashing through my brother's bedroom wall, and which gives me a great grounding. I'm still so happy that I have an album called Look Sharp by Joe Jackson because I still think it's fantastic. And I was only 15 years old. Yeah.
Did you ever see Joe Jackson play?
No, I didn't.
I did must be 30 years ago. I mean, your brother's collection sounds like my collection.
Yeah. No,
going back to the Birthday Party.
100%. He was hanging around St Kilda when it was just a word to me. He was at all those old dives, all those old venues. Yeah.
You also are in a band called the Redliners. Tell us a little bit about that band. Were they blues or more rockabilly or
blue? Yeah, no, it wasn't. We got a little bit pigeonholed with the Redliners, but no, it was it was very much influenced by if you like 50s R&B and dirty electric blues. And I was a founding member with Benny Peters and Dave Burtwell, and that was the most influential and most enjoyable time in my music life. Howlin' Time sort of, I always wanted to go a bit deeper or write some music, and that I met Dave Burtwell in Howlin' Time, and we formed the Redliners in 1995 or 6, and we put 2 albums out, and we had a great time. We did a lot of festivals. We were playing a lot, and as I say, I got to know 2 very, very special people. It was Ben Peters and Dave Burtwell. The 2 of those guys together, as far as guitarist goes, or roots guitarist, I was in pretty good company, and it was at least a dozen years of great years with those guys, who I'm still close with, and that's morphed into the Lovers. Yeah, but it was yeah. Sorry, go on.
Oh, Betty Peters will be with us. I think it's the 24th of September with Collard Greens and Gravy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's still the best, sharpest dressed man in town. That's for sure.
He's a star, Ben. He is. He's a star. He really is. He's dedicated his life to it, and he's got everything that it is required. From the way he plays to how he plays to what he plays to how he looks to how he deals with people. He's a star.
Yeah. Speaking of fantastic guitarists, your current guitarist Cole Tipping is way up there as well. Can you tell us a little about Cole, and where did you first run into him?
Yeah, it's Co Tipping.
Sorry.
Yeah, Co Berg Tipping. Yeah, Co Tipping. Look, I met Co first when I was aware of Co when we were with the Redliners, because he was playing with, at the time, with Brian in, I forget the name of the band now, the Lowriders. And Co came across from New Zealand as a 19-year-old, in the very early 80s, late 70s. Just one of those stories. He came across, I think, another mate of his also, Brent Parlane. And Co's been a part. Co was basically a professional musician in the 80s when he was playing a lot with Russell Morris, the Lonely Boys. And Co's been a really, really special person to have met, and not only meet, but join the band. And he's really immersed in the band too, because he's an extraordinary guitar player. He's got a wonderful music mind. He knows a lot of people. He's done a lot of things, and he certainly sets me straight, and certainly opens my mind to a broader music, because I'm not a prolific songwriter that finishes the songs, but I do have a lot of ideas, a lot of half dones, etc., etc. And Co is wonderful at drawing out the color, drawing out a little bit more, And so Co's now been playing with me for, I'd say it'd be getting close to 10 years now. But Co's got a long, long history with a lot of people, a lot of recording, a lot of sessions, a lot of well-known bands in the 80s when, I was a lot younger then, but apparently you could go out 5 nights a week and to packed rooms and earn a bit of coin too. Do pretty well for yourself. So no, Co Tipping is a unique player. A wonderful guy. He's larger than life. Yeah.
I also read in that book, I was reading up on you today, you related a fantastic Chris Wilson story about the time you had to follow him up on stage. And you told him, I think you said, you never really claimed the harmonica. Can you tell us what he actually said to you?
Well, I will
this is an adult audience.
Yeah, no, Chris, we were at it was a benefit for some reason. And I always idolized Chris. Like before I was in blues bands, I think it's important to say, I was at the, as an 18-year-old, I was at the Middle Park Hotel seeing the Crown of Thorns, and I think the Hollow Men. It was a double, and I love the Hollow Men. I've got their EP still, Blue Trains and Gravel Lanes, I think. And that was Chris Wilson, Ash Davies, Barb Waters, Dodgy on bass. I think that was it. And I just thought it was the most raw tinges of country blues with this guy up the front that was larger than life to me, who commanded audience participation, but at the same time was very cagey on stage. And he blew me away. And I always admired him. And we were doing a benefit, and because I'm playing harmonica, I was still younger then, and people thought I played fine. I'm not a student of it. I've never have been, but it's just developed as I've played. And Chris, I was about to go off the gig, and Collard was there as well. And I said to Chris, and I was just on it, I said, mate, go up following you or something like that. And Chris's words were to the thing of, Don't be so fucking stupid. Get your ass up on that fucking stage. You are brilliant, mate. Get the fuck up there and play. That was Chris.
Yeah.
And I was quite flattered by that. He actually he really liked the Redliners, and that's how he knew the band. But he said, "You are fucking good enough. Get your ass up there and do what you do." Yeah. Well, no, I won't forget that, because it was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah.
It sums up.
It was very Chris.
Great man.
Yeah.
So you did obviously get into the blues. Is there an era of the blues? You did mention the 50s before. Yep. Is there a particular era of the blues that you really dig the most?
Probably the 50s and the 60s. Yeah. A lot of stuff in the 60s as well. And that's been put on to me from great mates like David Burtwell and Jason Lassoon, a wonderful drummer. But the stuff that emanated out of when it got amplified and dirty and you dig deep, it's there's so many incomparable sounds there that come out. It's not polished. It's just dirty and gritty, and into the 60s too. And I very much enjoy blues influenced bands of the 60s out of England too. And that I've got a great liking for bands who are influenced by the blues and who went on to create with that influence, and you can clearly hear it. That's sort of what I aspire to, I guess. But yeah, 50s and the 60s stuff. Yeah.
And there are a couple of harp players in that era that really took your fancy?
Little Walter and people like that, and Jimmy Reed. They're the two I would immediately talk about. They're both different, and even Lazy Lester, different again. But if you put those three, I could listen to those three often, regularly. But yeah, guys like Little Walter, it's incomparable. It's just what he can do. It's complex, but it's not. But you can't. It's very hard to imitate. There's some who go a long way to doing it brilliantly in this town. I wouldn't say I'm one of those guys, but I think Little Walter. I mean, you can't really not. If you like harmonica, the tone he gets and how he holds a note and certain bends, and it's quite haunting in some songs. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Lazy Lester. I don't know, it must be 10 years ago. I was at the Blues Awards in Memphis, and I walked past and I thought, that's Lazy Lester just sitting on the couch. I immediately stopped and took a photo, and it's a highlight of my life, nearly.
Yeah. We met him at the Continental when it was happening in Paran, because I think it was a night when from Texas, young bloke from Teddy Morgan came out, and Ben Peters has a relationship with Teddy Morgan. Ben often goes back to Texas once a year and plays over there and catches up with some people. And Teddy Morgan was playing and Lazy was supporting. And quite a funny story at the Continental that Lazy was just on the stool and playing and singing, and he'd had quite a few, and he was enjoying himself a lot, to the point where Teddy Morgan, they were looking at from the green room, the side stage there, and trying to motion him off, and he had no idea whatsoever, going way over time until he had someone from the other band come out and politely asked him if he'd finished and please leave the stage. It was quite a bit. That's something of Lazy Lester I remember. But he didn't mind a drink, and he didn't mind playing, and he almost had to be told to stop because he'll just keep playing.
We do have another thing in common. Certainly not my musical ability, but I was also reading about how much you loved an early Springsteen album, Nebraska, which really doesn't appear in a top, a greatest hits of Springsteen. But no. I love that album too. What made you like that so much?
I don't know, mate. It's just me as far as music goes. Or I play a lot of guitar at home. So it's my songwriting tool, I guess. I always have. And when I first heard that record a long time ago, I was just drawn to every single song. And maybe it's not the highest quality sounding record, but there's something about that record that is so wholesome and so organic. And listening to it, it blows my mind that guys, because he wasn't an old man then. I mean, I think he must be maybe mid-20s with Nebraska, if that. It's like, how do you produce those? How do you do that at that age? A little bit like Tom Waits' Closing Time or something like that. How do you produce such words to create such pictures at that age. So that album for me is extraordinary and quite influential to me, because everything I hear on it I like and I want to play. It's just he's just an extraordinarily wonderful storyteller, and I'll not hear anyone say different.
No,
He's
right.
through his whole career, but that album is special. It's just special.
The Full-Time Lovers represented Australia at the Memphis Blues Challenge, I think 2014.
14 it was, yeah.
What was your takeaway from that trip?
We had a great time. It's one of the best 10 days of my life. Not just being in Memphis, but the collective group that travelled together, all the band and partners, wives and partners. My partner was my brother, and he went on for an extended holiday, and we all stayed together at the top end of town there. It was a wonderful experience. One thing I did find a little bit sort of strange a bit, because when I was going to the not just playing the heats, I mean, we played in a couple of venues were difficult to play, but seeing some the other bands, I was actually surprised, because at the time, like now in Melbourne, you can go out and you can see some really high quality blues acts. You can go 2 or 3 times a week to see great quality and great experience. But there was only like a small group of bands that sort of grabbed me that really impressed upon me as blues bands, and I don't mean that in any way to sound judgmental, but I was surprised that a lot of what I heard was quite contemporary rock blues, if you like, and I didn't see a lot of old school flavors. The band that won the night, I think Dr. Sips or something. I mean, the bands that end up at the top are just extraordinary. The showmanship, that's where you learn in America, is showmanship. You don't get paid to stand around looking at your feet if you're playing in a band in the States. You just don't, because you'll get nowhere. You've got to sell yourself. And that's a great lesson that I got from over there, is selling what you do. But it was an extraordinarily good time. The highlight of my time, though, if I must say, was, I think on the last night, it was the night before the final, and we went down to the Rum Boogie Bar, I think. Yeah, that was the one. Because on that night, I think it cost us about, I might have been free to get in. So you're drinking $2 beers and the joint's chock-a-block. We're down the front, and it's Bob Margolin, Muddy Waters' right-hand man for many years, Candy Cane on vocals, and a rhythm section. I've seen this drummer before. I actually saw this drummer with at the Willie RSL number of years ago, playing with, his name slipped my mind now. Anyway, this killer rhythm section. I was just in there. I remember talking to Ray Tullier, the drummer, and he's been there a number of times. But we were saying, mate, how good's this? This is what I'm here for. This was just an absolutely kick-ass band doing everything you sort of dream of when you think of going to the States and seeing the blues band. And here we are, drinking $2 beers, seeing Bob Margolin and this rhythm section, which was just extraordinary, and Candy Cane at the front. That was a highlight of my Memphis trip. But that was just walked off the street and walked in.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but it was a great holiday, great time. Yeah, really blessed to have the opportunity. Really thankful.
I think the Rum Boogie's my favourite place there. We were in Memphis this year, and it's a little bit sad, I reckon. It just looks pretty really quiet, sad, and yeah,
it's pretty financially quite depressed. And when the amount of buildings up for lease and whatnot, when remember walking up there, Burke Street, if you like, or what we were. Did you see the W class trams? The Melbourne trams at all?
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's because I think when we sold them off, I think maybe Montreal in Canada bought some, and they obviously bought some. That was quite nice to see them trundling down the street.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, I guess FedEx is probably the biggest business there at the back of the airport. But it's once a bustling and vibrant place.
Yeah.
It's a bit cold on the river in January.
Oh,
when that wind blows off the river. Ooh.
They get some snow there too, don't they? In January?
We were blessed. We had blue skies every day, but it was about 2 or 3 degrees. But it was gorgeous blue skies. No rain, no snow, but blue skies and 2 or 3 degrees.
We mentioned co-tipping before. Tell us about the other musicians in the current full-time Lovers.
Okay. Firstly, Ray Tully. Now, Ray's been around for a long time. Founding member of a band called Rocket 88s many moons ago, and he's also a big part of the Straight Eights. Ray and I go back about 25 years. We started to play together as a recording project in his home studio that we call the Mulgrave Gentlemen's Club, and which we still rehearse at. And yeah, so Ray's been with me on stage, or I've been with him for over 20 years. Michael Shannon is probably the newest addition to the band on the Hammond organ. Now, we met Michael at MBAS night, where we were the feature band, and the jam before it. Afterwards, I can't remember. Anyway, I was in the bar with Tony. We listened to the jam. I thought, yeah, jam sounds. Every now and then a jam, you know what I mean? You think, wow, everything's really cooking. Went out. There was a Hammond player. It was Michael, and we chased him down on Facebook about 2 years ago, and he joined the band, which has been a big reason why this little baby was brought out. Not why it was brought out, but the Hammond has allowed us really to allow this musical freedom, which I've longed for a long time. So Michael Shannon, wonderful guy, wonderful musician, a great ear, and has great input into songwriting. And Tony Harwood on bass. Now, Tony's been playing music with me for about 28 years. Yeah. He came into the Redliners about 2 minutes after we started, and we've been playing together at every gig ever since. And he's one of my closest buddies.
Oh, that's cool. Now,
yeah.
I was just led me into my next question. You hold that new CD up, yes, and the name of that album, Dirt on Velvet. That is incredible name for an album. Is that yours or your?
Yeah. We were thinking title tracks, and I don't know, a creative moment. I'd like that term, Dirt on Velvet, prior to this record. It came to mind, and I thought, to me, it described the music, and I thought, and once this, okay, the name, I had those words together for a while, Dirt on Velvet, and I thought it'd be a great band name or something like that. But look, it just became, it pretty quickly got accepted by everyone as an appropriate title. For me, the Dirt on Velvet is about, I guess the polish. There we are. I guess the polish of. I'll say, yeah.
I found the
polish. the polish of the sort of songs as a finished product, but really wanting them or appreciating the dirt. A bit of roughness, whether that's lyrically or whether that's in the guitars or whatever. But I just think, for me, when I thought of Dirt on Velvet, that would be a way to describe most bands I like and most music I like. And I just think it's a really nice, catchy term, Dirt on Velvet. But that's pretty much, it's as simple as that, Rob. It just seemed to, now that works. That really works.
And are they all originals on the album? Or?
They are mostly, well, at least half of them are original. The covers we do, we of course, Willie Dixon, we do a version of Bring It On Home. We do Born to Be Loved by Lucinda Williams, who I'm a huge fan of. We do Chris Wilson's You'll Surely Love Again. We recorded that at one point at Ray's place as a fundraiser for pancreatic cancer, which took Chris. We do Eddie Jones' Suffering Mind, which we've done within the band for many years. Great, his R&B song. And Screaming Jay Hawkins, I Put a Spell on You, which has always been a great part of our live set. So we put those ones down, but the rest of it's all original. A lot of songs that have been tucked away for many years that I've been able to realise with this current lineup. As I say, the likes of Co-Tipping and Michael Shannon on Hammond has really allowed these songs to grow. A couple of songs I first sort of demoed with Ray 20 years ago, which has been able to find the light now with this this collective group of the lovers. So there's a fair slab of originals in there, Rob, and which is why we're doing it, and already looking forward to the next one.
Yep. Oh, that's great. And we'll make sure you bring plenty to our gig, because
I will. Yes, we can talk about that.
I'm glad you're doing. I'm glad you've got Chris's song on there. That is such a beautiful song, and Chris was such a great songwriter. But
incredible songwriter.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, an extraordinary songwriter. I think I always saw Chris as a bit of a mystery to me. I was never close to Chris, just the gigs and admiration. That was it. But it was that sort of mystery that made a lot of sense to me when I go back over Crown of Thorns records and in his solo stuff. That just incredible songwriter. Just his depth of vocabulary as well is something that I really admire, and privileged to be able to put that song on.
Yeah, that's grouse.
Yeah.
That's about all I've got. We're sure looking forward to seeing you October the 1st.
Let's do that, October the 1st. Now, Rob, I'll be smashing the bollocks out of this gig as soon as our launch is finished on Friday night. It's all systems go for Way Out West, mate. Don't worry about that. And thank you for the gig. And it's been some time since it's been down there, so we're really looking forward to it. It's a great setup, great room on the back of our launch this Friday night.
Yeah. Well, I hope that goes really well.
Honestly, it's about 5 tickets short of selling out, which is great. We're stoked.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic, mate. So have a great night, and we'll see you. It's only not that many weeks away, so we'll see you.
No, it's not. It's basically three and a bit. Yeah. All right. So I'll be pushing it hard, Rob. And thank you for your time and allowing me to have a chat to you on your wonderful podcast.
No worries.
And, hopefully do it on Velvet, all your digital platforms. Bandcamp, of course, is the most friendly one on behalf of artists, because they only let you stream it a few times before they say, "Can you please buy it now?"